Breaking news, Bills have fired Sean McDermott.
That makes me absolutely sick. I mean, I have no idea what the hell's going on in this league. They fired 10 head coaches this year.
McDermott was 73 and 27. He won 73% of his games in the last 6 years, more than anybody in the National Football League.
We're just recycling all the same coaches. We're just playing coaches, Hollywood shuffle, and you get fired here and I'll hire you there.
Sean McDermott was fired in what most of the NFL would call a shock. Analysts were genuinely stunned, some of them openly pissed at the Buffalo Bills for pulling that trigger.
Good luck to Buffalo. And now I'm really glad they lost the game personally.
Which honestly just pours salt in the wound for Bills fans who didn't want McDermott fired in the first place, which includes my entire family, my mom, my sisters, my dad. That's right, I was raised by the mafia, Bills Mafia. So trust me when I say this, I've heard every version of this argument over the last 24 hours. The pro-McDermott crowd has been very clear about where they think the blame should have gone for their playoff exit in the second round. They think Sean McDermott was scapegoated, they think Brandon Beane should have been the one on the hot seat, and they think the Bills just fired the best coach they've had in decades. Then you've got the national media. They went ahead and aligned with whatever take would cause the most outrage, as often they do.
You know you need help. You know your star, Josh Allen, needs help. You don't go get it for him. You actually regress from a talent perspective based off of what you had a couple of years ago. But not only you fire the head coach, you get promoted to president.
But I was also thinking about the roster and all of the flaws that it has, which is why the fact that this news came with also the news that Brandon Beane, the GM, got a promotion, that's what's the most puzzling part.
And I get it. If you want to argue that Brandon Beane deserves blame, there's an argument to be made there. In most NFL organizations, the general manager outranks the head coach. He controls scouting, drafting, trades, free agency. The coach gets input, but the GM owns the roster. So if that's how you think Buffalo works, then Brandon Beane's resume deserves scrutiny. Since 2018, he's had only 2 Pro Bowl players drafted. Only 2 pass catchers taken in the first 2 rounds, despite having Josh Allen for crying out loud. And then the Von Miller contract, which was a disaster. It was expensive, risky, gave them very little return for that investment. I'm not cherry picking these things. Look, it's multiple seasons of evidence. And look, if this was a normal power structure, Beane would deserve even more heat than he's gotten. But that's where this story gets interesting. Because according to longtime Bills reporter Vic Carucci, something important happened 5 weeks ago. Sean McDermott reportedly sat down with Brandon Beane and owner Terry Pegula and pointed out what the roster lacked to win a Super Bowl. Quote, "I'm told that during a meeting held 5 weeks ago, the coach pointed out what the roster lacked to win a Super Bowl, and neither Beane nor Pegula was pleased." Think about that. If McDermott was pointing out a lack of wide receiver talent, that's fair given the Bills roster this year. If he was pointing out pass rush issues, that's also fair. But here's the question nobody on TV is asking. How much power did Brandon Beane actually have? Because according to Tim Graham of The Athletic, the Bills structure isn't normal at all. With Buffalo, Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane reported separately and equally to Terry Pegula. That means no hierarchy, no final authority decision between coach and GM, and when disagreements happened, when Brandon Beane wanted one thing and Sean McDermott wanted another thing, they both went to Pegula, and Pegula decided. That's a huge detail, because now we don't know which draft picks McDermott pushed for, we don't know which free agents Beane wanted but didn't get, or how many bad Beane decisions were actually defensive-minded coaching preferences. Don't forget, Sean McDermott was a defensive coordinator by trade, so if he influenced the roster heavily, then complained about it late, ownership might have been done with the conversation. And that's the part ESPN completely ignored. And this is the part that gets lost when people talk about Sean McDermott like he was fired in a fit of rage. It wasn't a one-game reaction. This wasn't about one playoff loss. It definitely wasn't about Buffalo panicking. This decision, it's been building for years. Because if you go back and actually look at the McDermott era year by year, a pattern starts to form, and it's not just close but unlucky. You guys are just unlucky this year. It's close but never breaking through. That's the pattern. That's the problem. Every season, the Bills enter January with the same conversation. This might be the year. And every season ended the same way. Sometimes it was execution, sometimes it was game management, sometimes it was situational football, but it was always something when it came to why the Buffalo Bills were knocked out of the postseason. And when that keeps happening with the same coach, ownership, they're eventually going to stop asking why. They're going to start asking, how long do we have to deal with this? How much longer do I have to endure this? Let's just be honest. The Bills didn't just lose playoff games. They lost them in every possible way. They lost shootouts. They lost grinded out games. They lost at home. They lost on the road. They lost games where Josh Allen played out of his mind. They lost games where the defense couldn't get one stop. And that matters because it removes that excuse of, oh, this was just bad luck. At some point, consistently failing, that becomes your identity, aka a choke artist. And here's the uncomfortable part for Bills Mafia, and probably my next family phone call. Sean McDermott didn't just coach those games, he managed them. Timeout decisions, fourth down choices, end of half strategies, clock management, those aren't on the general manager. Those aren't roster problems. Those are head coach responsibilities. And if you're Terry Pegula sitting upstairs year after year, eventually you're going to stop asking, did we have enough? And you're going to start asking, why does it keep ending like this? Because let's be honest, McDermott had 9 years. 9 years is not a short leash. 9 years is patience, especially when your quarterback is elite, especially when your team is never bad enough to justify rebuilding. And by the way, I think that's the worst place to live in the NFL. You're not bad, you're not great, you're almost, aka purgatory. And owners hate the purgatory of almost. They hate it more than failure, because at least failure gives you clarity. We're not winning, we need to make changes. Almost gives you excuses. Well, we were almost there, we just need one more receiver, one more play, one less penalty, one better kick, one worse kick. Excuses. And when Sean McDermott reportedly went upstairs late in the season and pointed out roster deficiencies, that may have been the moment ownership realized something important. Excuses are starting to outnumber the results. At some point, the excuses run out. Under Sean McDermott, there was no number one seeds, no Super Bowl appearances, playoff losses at home, playoff losses on the road. When the Bills had the best receiver in football, no Super Bowl. When they had the league MVP, no Super Bowl. McDermott didn't fail, but he didn't finish. And in the NFL, that distinction matters. Sean McDermott, he rebuilt the culture. He ended the playoff drought. He made Buffalo relevant again. And because of that, the expectations changed. It went from, we're just happy to be here, to, this is Super Bowl or bust. As a certain dumper in Seattle said last year.
Might as well win the whole fucking thing.
To be fair, he got that from the movie.
Win the whole fucking thing.
So I agree with the decision to fire Sean McDermott. I don't think I would have done it after 12 wins and we made it to the second round of the playoffs, but I also understand why Terry Pegula felt like a change had to be made. So who should be the next head coach for the Buffalo Bills? I keep hearing Bills fans say nice things. They want the next coach to love the city like McDermott did, to love the culture like McDermott did. Say the right things, Weird Al-Qaeda love speeches aside, but overall McDermott said the right things, and that's what Bills fans want. They want someone that really embraces the culture, embraces the city, really gets Buffalo. Bills Mafia, that's very sweet. Also, shut the fuck up. How about you just hire someone who can win a Super Bowl? You have Josh Allen. Who cares if the coach likes that you jump through tables? Win a Super Bowl. Who cares if the coach always says the right things? Win a Super Bowl. Who cares about any of that soft-ass bullshit? Win a Super Bowl. That's what's best for Bills fans. You can keep slamming into tables all you want. Do it with a Lombardi Trophy cake. Who cares if the coach likes Buffalo? Who cares? As long as he wins a Super Bowl, that's what the focus should be. That's where the energy needs to go. As for McDermott and his soft-ass excuses, if he would have won a Super Bowl, he wouldn't have been fired this quickly. Win one and your job is safe, maybe for longer than it should be, but it's safe for a long time. Bill Belichick proved it, John Harbaugh proved it, Mike Tomlin proved it. Won a Super Bowl, jobs were safe for a long time, even after stretches of time of not winning. This is normally where I wrap everything up, but a friend of mine asked to do the sign off for this episode. So thanks for watching, and Rocco, take it away.
Hey, it's Seattle Mike on the mic. Subscribe and like.